Hello everybody, Jose Rodriguez here. Before I begin with this video, which is going to be more of a chit chat type video, I just want to bring you guys up to date. My wife was hospitalized yesterday. She has had some intestinal bleeding, and so they are evaluating her. She had an MRI and an endoscopy done just not long ago, and she just got done calling me. I had the phone here in case I had to interrupt the video when she called, and she just informed me that so far all the tests are showing some problems, but you know, what are you going to do? You have to hope for the best. So let's begin. The Sunday live stream might be canceled. I am not sure yet. It all depends when she is discharged. If she is not discharged by, say, tonight or possibly tomorrow, then I'll have to cancel. You guys need to understand that. All right, let's begin. So lately, before all of this started, I decided to really start cracking down on my cartridge collection that I have, especially Canon cartridges that are refillable, okay? As long as you do it correctly, you can refill these cartridges and still maintain at least almost all of the reliability as far as ink flow goes. And you know how important ink flow is with Canon printers. So recently, in fact, just the other day, I got home from Nathan's house and I saw that my wife had 2 big boxes inside the house. And I thought, what the heck is this? I haven't ordered anything that big. Well, I opened it up and it happened to be 3 boxes, 2 inside 1 big box. 3 boxes full of cartridges, these PGI 29 cartridges. And I thought, oh, Lord, you know, what am I going to do with these? Well, I remembered, of course, that I had been modifying these and then selling them to people as a set so that you guys can then attach single-use chips to them, which will not fit on an unmodified original cartridge. I'll show you what I'm talking about in a little bit. But I did a whole bunch of those. Basically, what I did was, for this time being, I aspirated a lot of ink out of all of these. Believe me, when they are low or empty, they still have ink in them. So don't replace them just because they say I'm low. If you replace them, you're going to lose 12 to 15 grams of ink. Basically, that's about the same milliliters in volume. So you're throwing away a lot of ink, which I gladly aspirate and reuse. And you can see this is just Chroma Optimizer right here. I have about 2 full ounces that I got out of just a few cartridges the other day. So let me put this down. I got to keep track of my topics so I don't get carried away and lose track of what I'm supposed to be talking about. So there are some people out there that still have a Pro 1. I have 2 of them. The original Pro 1 that's sitting on top of my 3rd rack here has gone through 3 printheads. This is the 4th printhead on it. Yes, this printer had problems, but if yours is working fine and you want to at least save a ton of money, because the cartridges are about $40 each, you can find them for less, but they retail for that much. They only have about 39 milliliters of ink in them, and this thing will go through that ink like there's no tomorrow. Cleaning cycles, whether you need them or not. And so if you do not print to at least utilize the ink that you would normally waste in producing prints, you're going to go through that ink no matter what. So you might as well go through a third-party choice like Precisioncolors.com. They have the signature edition inks for that Pro 1. At least I think they still do. But anyway, you need to buy single-use chips. They cost about $3.50 each. So a load of ink will maybe cost you $8 plus another $3.50. Let's just say $12 max to refill a cartridge. And they work just fine. So let me show you what that entails. I'm going to walk up to the camera. Hopefully I will not trip myself. I'm going to stand here, let the camera focus. So here is an untampered cartridge. This is just basically went empty because I sucked all the ink out. This is what it looks like with the chip removed. Notice, if you can see that clearly, maybe not, maybe yes. You see one post is still larger diameter than the one on the left. That's because I shaved that off. That equates to that left port right there. And on the right side of that chip, there is a slot. The chips fit by sliding them under that untampered port and then snapping it over the port that you shaved off. Now you have two options. Mill out the center spot and add some of that gummy, they call it blue tack, although it's not blue. They use it in museums to tack down valuable little objects to their shelves and whatever. Very sticky. If you screw up and you take off both posts, then you're going to need some of this, okay? If you do not, you're going to end up with a perfectly modified cartridge. And that's what I provide you. Now, the reason that this kind of made me think a bit was because I a few months back, I said I have to stop selling these sets because I ran out of light gray cartridges. The Pro One has 3 grays: dark, regular gray, and light. And so I couldn't sell a set without that light gray cartridge. So I was leaving you, the user, to modify your own cartridge. Hopefully, after seeing what I had done, you would find that it's not really that difficult, but you need to do that as the chip is fat, basically. It has a glob of resin in the back. The normal chips that you get with the untampered OEM cartridge have the electronics just totally bare, okay? And they sit flat. As you saw, there's only a little slot, and that chip sits right on that slot, no problem. But when you add that little resin, protective glob of resin, let's just say, it cannot sit flat. So I had to mill a circular space. And I do that with my milling machine, very controlled situation. So I can guarantee you that then when you buy the single-use chips, they will fit perfectly. Let's see what else we need to talk about. So let me just finish on that topic. So how do you control this new system of refilling? Well, if you started with a full cartridge and you have one of mine that have been modified and you already installed the chips that you buy from Precisioncolors, then all you have to do is refill it with the inks, and simply it is a very simple operation. Syringe with 39 grams of ink, assuming of course it is empty. What I would do is maybe weigh it. If it weighs anything above 44 grams, then that's how much ink it has in it. In other words, in grams of ink or milliliters. So 44 would be empty. Say if it weighs 49, that means you have 5 ml of ink inside. So don't try to push the maximum amount of ink in it. It will not fit. There's an internal bag inside. I have videos covering this whole procedure for modification on your own, how to remove the chip properly and all of that stuff in its own playlist. So look that up. So say it has 44 grams of weight. That means it is empty. You would inject 39 grams of ink. In other words, 39 ml. So it is best to have a 60 ml syringe. You attach a special tip and you just pop it into the port, press down, pull back, and then inject. Pull back a tiny little bit and extract any kind of air bubbles that may have been injected. You weigh it. If it weighs 84 grams, you are full. If it weighs less than that, you need to add a couple more ml of ink just to make sure that it is in coordination with the chip reporting. So that's all you have to do. And then from that point onward, you just let it go empty. Once the chip declares it empty, there's going to be a little bit of ink left. There's no doubt about that. So again, it's very important that you weigh it. Now, if you're already running on third-party inks, what I do is I just extract the remaining ink and then add it to my bottle, mix it, it's fine. It's going to be perfectly clean ink. Then extract the 39 ml of ink that I need and fill in my cartridge. That is it. You can install the chip whenever you wish. And that's basically what I did the other day. And I also extracted ink so that I can refill these, my Pro-10 cartridges. So I had a ton of cartridges that I don't know what condition they were in. Some of them were not filled. Some of them had not been reset. Some of them were already filled. And so I just went through every one of them, either topped them off after I reset every one of them. I didn't want to take a chance whether they were reset or not. So I reset every single one and I just dribble some ink until I reached 33 grams of weight. That's it. I put the clips on them and I lined them all up by color. And so now I have something like 5 sets of each cartridge. So that is wonderful. I'll be ready to bring my Pro-10 back into production. The same thing with the Pro-1. I had PC send me some chips and I went ahead and prepared 6 cartridge each color. In other words, 6 times 12. So I have one full triple set for the Pro-1 sitting in front of me and another triple set of cartridges for my original Pro-1. And I'm going to begin to do some serial type prints that I have in mind to create. And so the next thing that I had to do was, of course, make sure that I have some of these cartridges already pre-filled and ready to go. If I need to, all I got to do is remove a cartridge. If I want to fill it in place, fine. If I don't feel like it, I just replace it with a full one, reattach the sensor, and I'm good to go. I will have to disable that chip possibly because it may have been out of my bank of empties. It may have had some life left in it. So I have to kind of let it go until it's actually declared empty and then disable ink monitoring on that particular one. Remember, the disabling of ink monitoring occurs at the chip level and not inside or anywhere else in your system, whether you're talking about your computer or the printer itself. So keep that in mind. I, of course, have large volumes of ink, OEM ink, for my larger Pro-1000 tanks. And today I discovered something really odd. Inkjet Mall now sells ink for the Canon series of printers. They used to be devoted only for EPSON printers, especially since they're the ones that, the innovators, if you will, of the all black ink systems for EPSON printers. So I just did a very quick search. Apparently they sell already pre-filled, like compatible cartridges. They work for all the variety of Canon printers that are large format printers. I didn't see anything for the smaller models, only the big floor units like the Pro-2000 and up. But anyway, for you guys who are interested in saving some money, they are famous for producing nothing but the best quality ink out there. They actually contract a private laboratory that only makes inks for them. So that's something to consider. I am going to be doing a video about Ardenberg. Ardenberg is the other company that, not a company, but a group of people who are dedicated to find out what the light exposure longevity is for a specific printer with OEM ink and then an array of different papers. So I'm going to be going through their site bit by bit and kind of show you the differences between a certain printer with a certain set of inks, this is OEM, and a particular paper. And it will give you the fade characteristics. In other words, how much light does it take to begin to show a fade that can be measured. It's very scientific, okay? It's not just something you can visually detect, but something that has to be measured with a spectrophotometer. So that's gonna come maybe next week, okay? So I have that planned to do now. For those of you who have EPSON printers, they have internal waste ink pads and can be reset. Of course, if you have an adjustment program, you can use that. But if you do not, there is the Wick reset tool out there that you can use. You have to buy a serial code to activate it and reset those counters back to 0. You will have to divert the ink somehow outside the printer to continue to collect it so that it does not continue to saturate your internal pads. That will render your printer dead on the water. So you have to be very, very cognizant of that. So don't just reset it and just continue to collect ink internally. You have to divert it outside. All my EPSON printers that have cartridges that right on the printhead have internal waste ink pads. And that includes, of course, the R3000, 2880, 1400, and anything else that has cartridges that right on the printhead, they have internal waste ink pads, and you have to externally divert that waste ink you generate. I wish you could do it on something like the Pro 1 or the Pro 10 or the Pro 100. There's really no easy way to handle that. It's very easy on an EPSON printer. You take the side panel off, and there are the tubes that direct the ink to the pad. You disconnect them, reconnect them to an external tube, and that is it. You can leave the side panel off of it. It doesn't really matter. Assuming, of course, your printer is out of warranty, I don't care how I mutilate it at that point. You see what I mean? But I am going to then, for the future, save the ink pads. They'll never haunt me again. So here's the catch though. These tools, whether you get the Wick Reset tool, the original one, download it and then buy a serial code from many providers out there, or use Inkchip, the company that I deal with, it will not work on Mac. It is only in Windows products. So do the adjustment programs. They do not work on Mac. They are written for Windows only. So again, well, what can I say? You can borrow someone's laptop, install the driver momentarily, insert your USB cord to it, connect your printer, have it recognized, and then perform that operation. And it will cost you at the most, I think, $10. I also have a bunch of keys left. I might start to raffle those off on my live stream. Maybe. We'll see. XP 15000 maintenance box. Now, there's a printer that's a little odd. It is a desktop printer. It doesn't have a scanner, so it cannot be considered an all-in-one. But it's 13-inch capacity, 6-color dye ink set, produces beautiful prints. I have shown you these in the past. And here's the catch. Here's what makes it nearly perfect. Not that you can buy third-party cartridges and install them. No, it's a little bit tricky for that. There are $10 chips that you can buy for your refillable cartridges, but that makes no sense, as you can buy OEM cartridges for just a little bit more than that. You see, so why bother? Well, the only way to refill that puppy is to render it chipless. And that's an operation that is like that. It may work or it may not work. It took Mike and I a few hours to get it to work properly. And now, luckily and gratefully, that printer now runs chipless. Basically, it displays all 6 colors as being maximum. Here's the beauty of this printer. You can refill your original cartridges. Very similar to these. They have an external port that you can dribble ink into them. You must do it before they reach low. And you have no clue when they reach low, because you are not displaying the real ink levels any longer if you render it chipless. So what you need to do is create some sort of schedule that will allow you to then realize, hey, I got to top off all 6 of my cartridges because they weigh, I don't know, let's just say 18 grams. Well, at that point, they're not even close to low. So you top them off until they weigh 27 grams. So that adds about 9-10 grams of ink in each one of those cartridges. You're back to actually physically being full. Put them back in your printer and you're good to go. Again, remember, the color levels will be always showing as full, so you have to be very careful. Now, here's the wonderful part about this printer. Not the fact that it can do just about any kind of media you can throw at it, but it has an internal waste ink box. Yes. That means that printer will never be rendered dead, in other words, as other printers will, in case you don't have a clue that these waste ink resets exist. But there isn't one for the 15000 because it doesn't have to be one. You can replace that little box by yourself. It has its own chip. At this point, I do not know whether you can take one apart and repack it. I have a brand new one that I should have brought downstairs, but I forgot, that I got just the other day. Now, let me give you some recommendations as to how to obtain these because they're very low cost. This one here costs about $23, which is still not bad. The P800, again, about that price as well. The ones for the XP15000 can be as cheap as $9.99 and as expensive as $20. And you can even buy third-party ones, okay, compatible, if you will, boxes. I would not recommend you do that. I would recommend you stay with the original OEM boxes. Now, why the difference in price? Well, I thought, hey, let's look on Amazon. Amazon has everything. Well, I found them for $15. And I even put it on my Amazon affiliate page. Then I said, you know what, let me look and see what EPSON is charging. Well, EPSON is charging $9.99 plus free shipping in the US. The only catch is it's going to take about a week for you to get it, maybe longer. Whereas Amazon may ship it overnight. So if you want it tomorrow, you pay the extra $5, I guess, and you will get your replacement waste ink box. And again, that is just one of those things that a printer, every printer should be provided with, but they just don't. Now going back to the Pro One, and somebody asked me this, well, why should I buy chips? Why should I modify those cartridges? Well, if you have absolutely zero skills to do so, or say I didn't have any more cartridges to sell, then you're stuck. You cannot use Chinese chips on it. Even if you remove that chip carefully yourself, you have to still carve out that little spherical space for that glob of resin to sit on. I wish I had an example, but there are videos. Again, go back to my PGI 29 or Pro 1000 cart modification playlist and you will see everything there is to know about that process. So why not disable ink monitoring and just fill it up, pop it back in, and it will just be declared as empty, but you know, it'll still allow you to print. I don't know, I would recommend that because the Pro One is so picky. The Pro One is Canon's first attempt at a pressurized ink delivery system. And notice, they dropped it like a hot potato. This does not have a pressurized delivery system. Neither do the other models. They went back to their gravity-fed or slightly negative pressure system. It's really neat. So they apply negative pressure to the cartridge to extract the ink out, not positive pressure. That's why these cartridges have an internal ink bag. That ink bag is pressurized. These have an ink bag as well, but they're not pressurized. There's a spring that provides the proper tension to apply, again, a slight negative pressure to the ink compartment, if you want to call it. Again, it's just a bladder. And that perfectly fills your printhead or provides ink to your printhead. Now remember, that and the 300 actually rides on the printhead, so they have internal waste ink pads. There's so much information out there and so many different combinations that you can think of. And I guess if you want to really get serious at it, that is one way to choose one particular model over another. So I guess that's about it for now. Let me see if I missed anything. Yeah, concerning the disabling of the mic, I did bring that up to Mike. Okay, I did. When we were talking about this system here, I said, well, why can't I just do that to the Pro One? He kind of recommended I do not because it may start some kind of weird reaction to, say, for instance, like throwing massive cleaning cycles every time you print something. We already lose a lot of ink to, maintenance on that printer. If I wait just a few days, that's it. I'm going to lose a percentage of all of my inks, whether I want to or not. So it's just something I really need to stay away from. It's just so much easier to just, if you have a set of modified cartridges, to remove the chip and insert a new one in. And that is in itself, it's a process as well. So if you have problem with manual dexterity, it might be a little bit difficult for you unless you have something like a tweezer to do it, because again, you don't want to harm that post that I left untouched. That's the post that the slot of the chip will kind of insert itself under it. That will keep it from popping off, and then you just pop it The remaining hole sits over the one you shaved off. Again, look at my videos. It's all there in close-up. So that is it for now. I'm going to go upstairs, maybe have a little din-din again. It's tough living alone. Let me tell you, it is tough living alone. My wife and I have been together in one more month. It'll be 50 years of marriage. And so, yeah, I miss my wife. She just called me just prior to the live stream, and so everything seems to be okay. And hopefully they might release her tonight. They may not. The military hospitals are very, very slow in that kind of process. So the only problem, because I cannot go visit her, they will not allow me to visit her, is to wait for the call and then meet her at the right exit door, whatever that may be. So who knows? All right. Thank you so much. Don't forget to subscribe, share, and like. Until the next time, happy printing, everybody, and bye-bye.